And this is the exact deck that I used to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. So let's talk about pitching. And this is a big one, which I'm very passionate about. When it comes to pitching, most people think that this just comes into play when you're gonna raise money. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Pitching is gonna be almost everything you're doing. You need to become a walking pitch for your company. And even if you're not expecting to raise funds, if you're gonna build it bootstrapped, Bootstrap is a company that just relies on their own funding, they're not raising any money, your pitch is still gonna be super critical because it comes into play in so many more aspects, from acquiring customers, recruiting for talent, getting mentors on board, heck, getting anyone to care about what you are doing or you or yourself. So it is absolutely essential that you can very quickly convey what you're doing, why you're doing it, and why you set yourself apart from everyone else doing it. I want to preference that I am in no way or shape or form an expert on this. I have so much more to learn myself, but I've had a fair share of training. I have raised multiple rounds of funding for several companies. I have pitched and won on numerous public pitching competitions.
My name is Tim Axelsson. I'm 27 years old, born and raised in a small town in Sweden. And together with other couple people from the same area, we built Arcus X. Today, the quickest growing construction management software in the United States.
Hard work pays off, isn't that what they say? Winning awards, maybe signing our biggest customer to date yesterday. Don't want to jinx it, but there's only one way from here. That's up. And I've even been on Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, depending where you are, in Sweden, and secured over $100,000 in national television. I mean, even this channel would have come about unless I pitched for Elliot and convinced him to come on board building this. And what probably gives me the most amount of credibility and most learning experience is that I've been rejected hundreds of times pitching different ideas. And yep, you heard that right. Getting comfortable with rejection is gonna be important for you. And if you haven't been rejected, I'm sorry, it's not because you are a master of wisdom at this. You probably haven't been bold enough. You need to take as many chances as you can. But let's start with the basics. So if you're watching this, it's likely you're in your early 20s. And right now, the most important thing is gonna be you and your team. It is the biggest risk for any people coming aboard your team, any investor, whether you and the team is the right team to do what you're set out to do. So if you can convince anyone that you're the right team to make whatever you want to happen, you're already 80% there. So spend majority of your time on this part. Something that's gonna be very surprising to a lot of people is that your idea isn't really worth much. If you think that if someone just overheard your idea, they're gonna take it and steal it from you and you're gonna be late to the party, then you're completely underestimating on how difficult it is to build a startup. The sacrifices you need to make, the hours you need to put in, the, raising money, getting a team together, building the product, it is just so difficult and takes so much more time. So no one is gonna just randomly take your idea if they hear it and go and do it. It's all about execution in the end, which is again why the team is so important. Even if you think they have the best idea ever, once you get started, I can almost guarantee you're gonna go through at least one pivot, probably several. A pivot is when you make a drastic change in your business idea or in your business model or something for that you set out to. Don't be afraid to talk about your idea. Don't be afraid to talk about it with people who could be investors, friends, family, whatever. Otherwise, you're not going to get anyone to be excited about what you're doing, and you're going to miss out on a lot of good feedback.
Some people really are, And as the sun sets, and the night falls, and them hoes call.
Alright guys, it's Saturday. Currently a little bit after 10. And I should have done this much earlier in the week, but now I'm forced to sit here on what I plan to be my day off. Like I've said, I have a ton of friends from all over the world, US, Mexico, Switzerland, a bunch of places in Europe who come in here, and I wish I could be out having fun with them tonight, but I had to say no to that because I need to focus on this. I've had pretty much 8 hours of meeting almost every day this week. Which does not include the actual job I need to do in between meetings and after meetings. And little time I had over, I have prioritized working out, prepping for next week, and shooting, of course. So, and you guys must understand that I don't make any money from YouTube, obviously, and I don't ever plan to make any money from this. How I make my money is by building, scaling this SaaS company profitably, well over 7 figures now, aiming at 8. And it's not something that just happens. It's something that is incredibly hard to do. And I've put a lot of hours into getting here. And more so than hours, a lot of brain capacity. Especially now entering this new phase where I'm no longer getting paid for my hours. I'm getting paid for the decisions I take and how often those decisions are right. Anyway, sorry for the rant, but what I really want to say is I'm really devoted to this, and I think for this to actually become something of value, it needs to come from a place of authenticity. And I want to create some real genuine value. So if people who's watching this want to build their own businesses, want to work for themselves, want to unlock this way of living, they should be able to watch this and gain a lot of value, a lot of benefit from it. So I try to put real effort into making these value drops, spilling some of the knowledge I've learned the hard way, and things that I've been able to unlock from building these businesses and the successes and failures that I've had. This was supposed to be done a lot earlier this week, but I just haven't been able to get around to it. So I'm gonna finish my electrolytes here, and I'm gonna sit down and do the second part of this value drop, which actually is gonna be squeezed into the middle of the video, well after I've recorded the outro. So yeah, let's dive into it. So let's get into the anatomy of a pitch, and in this case a pitch deck. And first off, there are no rules when it comes to putting together a pitch or the pitch structure. You can do it in any way you want to, and I've seen a million different ways of doing it. But there are best practices, and I believe there are more impactful ways to do it. So I'm going to show you some of the tricks that I have learned over the years and how I go about structuring my pitches, and pitch decks that I've used to raise money, convince talent to join me, convince co-founders to partner up with me, and getting mentors on board. So here is one of the ones that we're using today. Now this is a company that is well on the way and is a little bit down the line. I'm going to take a look at a couple of different ones, but all structured in a very similar way. So I always start with a first initial slide that describes the company in just one sentence. The reason why this is that a lot of times when you're making pitches, you may be doing a little setup or there's a conversation or small talk going about in the beginning, and it's nice to have this one just laying there and people can just directly pick up what you are doing and answering like their initial questions. Then we get into the problem, and I'm going to show you the next one. Is likely that you guys are just starting out and maybe focus on the team initially is going to be interesting, but after that you want to highlight the problem and you want to blow the problem out of proportion. You make people feel like, why haven't anyone solved this today, or this is really urgent to address it. And I'm breaking it down into multiple slides here, but try to keep it at one slide. Then I like to describe the ideal solution. How would we like to go about this in an ideal world? What needs to happen for this problem to go away? And from there on, I jump straight into the product. So how does the product work? Ideally, if you can, jump into a product demo, but if you haven't built a product yet, that's not going to be possible. So try to break it down, and I use things like Figma to make very realistic product slides and product mockups, so people actually think it looks like, and you can work them through or take them through the workflow of how it works step by step, and try to really get them immersed and understanding how your solution is solving the problem you just described. Then in this case, I am doing a little of what makes us unique. It could be a timing slide. It could be something that sort of spins onto why your product is the ideal solution here. Then we do a competition slide. So there are multiple different ways of doing the competition. You could have it with multiple rows where you can show how there are different features or problems that your product needs to solve and how you are addressing all of them, and ideally your competitors have some gaps or problems that they're not solving, which makes you more superior to them. This is another side where you have for axles and how you are positioned in a way that they aren't, so you're filling a gap in the market. Then really important, your business model, how you're gonna make money. What is it? Is it a subscription? Is it one-offs? Is it a variety of multiple different income streams? Then look a little bit about the financials and the projection of your company. Again, if you are starting out, you may not have any actual numbers, but this could just be your estimates and projections. And ideally, you want to back it up with the actual financial calculation that you can send over past the meeting. Then in this case, I'm actually combining two slides in one. Here we're both talking about the total addressable market. And there are three things you want to show here: the TAM, SAM, and SOM. Total addressable market, service addressable market, and service obtainable market. The total addressable market is all the potential customers times your average cost of your software. That will be the entire market. Now, you're not going to get 100% of it. The next step, service addressable market, is all of the companies that actually could benefit from your solution. So it's likely that all the potential, let's say we are working with construction companies, would benefit of using this. And the last step, the SOM, is the obtainable. What is realistic that we could reach? And of course, you want to have as big total addressable market as possible, because if you have, let's say, a market that's just $1 million, that would mean that you would need to capture pretty much 100% of the market to make a really nice business. And that is very unrealistic. From here, we do some type of next steps, or the ask. So if you're raising money, this is where you introduce how much you are going to raise. But it doesn't have to be asking for money. You could do a pitch for many different reasons. Like I said, we use this to raise, to hire talent, to get co-founders on board, or get mentors, or it could be a variety of different things. But last thing, it should be more of an ask kind of slide. Now let's take a look at a made-up company that I've just made. That is actually an idea I had before, and I put together a slide on. So this company does not exist, but you're gonna see that the setup is very like it anyway. And this is probably the scenario where you're gonna be in. You just have an idea and you wanna try to take it to reality. So same thing here. I'm starting out with an initial slide, very pleasing to look like. We're describing what we're doing in one sentence. And then since this is a product that is not available yet, again, I mentioned this earlier, the biggest risk someone has here is the team. And the team is going to stand for all execution, which is more important than any idea in the world. So I'm diving straight into the team. Why are we together the right team to do this? And there are a couple of things you want to show here. Solo founders rarely make it in this world. There are statistics that shows that it's much it's significantly harder to make it as a solo founder. So ideally you want to have a team, and the team should have competences that together complement each other. So if you're building a SaaS, ideally you want to have some type of CEO, someone very driven, ideally knows the market or business, has done this before. You want to have someone who's more technical, who can actually build the product, and maybe someone on the marketing or product or design side. But of course, it can be 2 founders, it can be 3 founders, it could be 4 founders. I wouldn't advise go more than that. And other things you can include here, if you have some key mentors, early investors, or people that's really involved on advisory side, you can include them here as well to build up your credibility and show that there is enough competences. Then from here, we dive into the problem, and again, we blow it out of proportion and really make it feel like it's a massive problem. From there, we describe the ideal solution and how it works today and why today's way is broken. Because again, we need to remember that most people you're pitching to don't know the industry and the market like you do. So you need to educate them as well on how it works. It's not only then they can truly understand that the problem you're describing is a problem and that there is an opportunity for a solution. So now that we know how the industry works and how the ideal solution looks like, we can describe, here we're diving into the actual ideal solution and how the best way to solve the problem should be, given how the market looks like. From there, we dive into showing how our actual product works and looks like. And again, this doesn't exist. So I purely made all this out in Figma. It's an amazing design tool. I can give a little rundown for that in a later video. And I try to break it down, the step-by-step how it works, so it's very clear for them how the solution once built is going to help our ideal customer. From here, we show the business model, our pricing, or how we're gonna make money and how that is structured. I break down the TAM, SAM, and SOM again, showing how big the market is and how even the service obtainable market is still very big and there's a lot of room for us to grow on. Breaking down the competitive landscape, how we set ourselves apart from everyone else and why there's a good time to go in now. And then I have a why now slide. And this one is actually super important. I think a lot of people miss this step, but what I described in an earlier buy drop is how most companies fail not because the co-founders weren't good enough, but because of the misread market demands or because of timing and luck. So why now is a super important question to answer. And I think here's where we also can build some urgency to get people excited for this now and make it like an obvious, like, yeah, okay, no one has sold it before because the timing wasn't as good as it is now. That's also a question you're gonna have to answer is, why haven't anyone done this before? So this can be a part playing into that. From here, we're doing a bit of a financial projection. Again, it's gonna be really hard to accurately predict this, but you wanna show a nice curve, and especially here showing the timeline of when they could expect a return on their investment, when it could be a good timing to sell the company if that's ever the plan, or make nice profits that they can you can pay dividends on and get your investor getting their money back. And most people show a 3-year time horizon here, and it's very hard to predict anything longer, but I think truly good businesses takes time to build. It's a 5, 7, 10-year horizon we need to look at, and I think that also gives people confidence in you when you show that you have commitment in this over time and not just some new interest that you found and may lose interest in a few months. Then traction is really important, and you may think that this is just something that product that's already been around for a while, show statistics and data and usage, but it doesn't really have to be that. Traction can come in many different ways, and it's really important that you as a team show that you have a lot of action in you and you're not sitting around and waiting for money or someone to build it or whatever. So in this case, what we will showcase is a waitlist where we put out this waitlist and we've gotten this many signups that is now waiting for our offer or our service to come out. And we also show that we did some consultancy services where we actually sold this problem in a manual way and they paid us this much. And you can make this in a timeline so you can see sort of the progress you made from month to month or week to week or whatever it is. And lastly, we're finishing with our ask. In this case, again, we're raising money, so we're telling how much money we're raising. You don't need to put evaluation in here, but you need to have that prepared for the call. And then what the money is going to take us. So in total, these pitches should take maybe 10-15 minutes. If you have a call with someone, you want to leave enough room for Q&A and make it more of a conversational thing rather than you just pitching all the time and being stuck in slides. We want to use the slides because they're a great way to convey your message and make it more impactful. And it can in some ways be a very manipulative thing. And it's important that you don't fool yourself. There's a reason why at Amazon and Jeff Bezos had this hard rule that they don't use any slides because it is just so manipulative that you can get anyone to convince you or convince anyone to do whatever or think like you. And in cases like internally, you just want to get to accurate results over anything else. When you're pitching, you actually want to convince someone to do something. So that's why it's so powerful. But back to not convincing yourself, because typically you don't include all the pitfalls and struggles and challenges that you have in here. So you don't want to get to a point where you read through this and almost get carried away and think, well, this is a no-brainer and forget about all the risks. Now I'm showing you a full pitch deck. And I think this is a great way to start because it will help yourself to understand, your why, how, and what sets you apart and really get you to dive into this and immerse yourself and ask you a lot of hard questions while putting this together. But what you ultimately also want to create, and which is probably even more important than this, is your elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is a very slimmed down pitch. It should just take a couple of seconds, a minute or two max. The word elevator pitch even comes from the idea of you stepping into an elevator, and by the time you've reached your floor, you should have been able to hold your entire pitch to all the guys or people in the elevator. So it should be really short and snappy. And once you have this, you can really try to break all this down into just like one sentence each and make it very short and snappy and very thoughtful with words you use. A third example that I want to show you, and this is the exact deck that I used to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's gonna see it follows the same principles. It's very simple. Nice beginning slide. We showcase today's world, the problem and the result of that. So blow out the problem. Then we describe the ideal solution. We dive in how our product would work and the different processes in the product. We describe the initial target group, who we're going for, and the total addressable market, how big that is. We have a competitive slide that show how we stand out from the rest of the crowd and filling a space that no one else is doing. We talk about the team and show that and how we have competences together that fills the entire the competences we need to get this product to go to a live thing. We then show our traction we had so far and what is the next steps. We dive into our business model, how we're gonna make money. And then we combine two things in here by showing our financial projection and our growth curve, classic hockey stick, right? And also the ask, how much money we're currently raising. So yeah, 3 different pitches, all following a very similar structure. There is no right or wrong again, so you really make this up yourself. This is just some inspiration you can take on how I typically structure it. And for me, I think this is a super fun part, and I can almost do this just as a leisure thing. It really gets you to think about your business in depth, and in this process, you're gonna learn so much about what you're doing. So definitely spend some time doing this and immerse yourself how to do pitches. And then once you have created your pitch, practice it over and over and over. Don't have a script. This should just come from the top of your head. Cool. Good luck with your pitching. If you would like to get some of these templates that I've used, follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn, send me a DM, and I could send you one of the pitch examples that I've used in here.
Now, some things you need to keep in mind. Number 1, people listening to your pitch must understand it without having any prior understanding or knowledge about your industry. Number 2, sell emotions, not facts. People are not going to be able to take your facts and put them in context. It's not going to be as impactful as you think. They must feel like it's a must-have. Number 3, your first couple of pitches is going to be bad. So use them as a practice. Pick people that you don't really want to convince and just practice on them. Number 4, think big. People doesn't get excited for unambitious plans. Investors want that 10x. And talent, they want to work on the next big thing. Number 5, frame what you're doing in an impactful way. Tesla is not building electric cars. They are transforming the automotive industry. And lastly, a myth for you. You only get one chance at pitching. And it's a bit controversial. I think that could be true. If you're doing some really cool stuff and making big moves, you will get more chances. But in many cases, you just get one chance to an investor and they've made up their mind. So make sure that you practice before and you know what you're doing before going for the ones you really want to convince. Now, I'm gonna hit the road and enjoy this bad boy. Over and out.